Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Vita May podcast. I'm happy to recommend using Anchor.fm as my podcast tool. It's a free tool. It automatically publishes your podcast to Spotify. You may manually submit your podcast to Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Castbox.fm, and others. It is straightforward to use from your mobile phone application or computer and laptop browser. You can invite friends and record when ready and more. You may also monetize by recording guided ads that you select per episode. Join in on the fun of sharing your experiences and stories and download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, that's anchor.fm. Thank you. Welcome to Vitame. The topic for this episode is making time and life choices. People think that I am a time traveler. I often see people wonder how I do so many different activities at work and personally. My typical response is that I make time to prioritize the things that I feel are impactful and important to me. What is time management? Or should we rephrase and say, is it about prioritizing? Many books explain how vital time management is for everyone. Some of these books are Mindset by Carol Dweck, Time Warrior by Steve Chandler, each chapter giving different techniques to practice, Wealthy Gardener by John Soferick, Great at Work by Morton T. Hansen, Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, and many more. I attended the Women of the Channel East event in New York City in December 2019 and learned many useful tips from one of the speakers. Val Wright provided a resource folder that contained great tips in becoming a more effective leader and managing our time. She wrote the book Thoughtfully Ruthless. In the toolkit that she provided, she included how to set strategic appointments in your calendar, for example, planning, checking emails, project-related tasks, taking lunch, etc. Additionally, she provided measurements on how to effectively lead meetings. Does the meeting include the correct audience, an agenda of the topics, action items after the sessions, and feedback from the attendees if the meeting was not a waste of their time and if they find value in the meeting? Val also provides a useful template that she recommends for emailing. Having the correct email header, addressing the specific recipient with the required action, decision, or if it's just for information. Not sending email after 5 p.m. or after closed business hours are some of the few examples that she had. Also, I find that listening or watching the TED Talks is very useful as well. One of the speakers, Laura Vanderkam, spoke at the TED Women 2016 event on how to gain control of your free time. She also has 4 children like myself and has managed to make it to her different appointments without using this as an excuse. How much time do we spend binge watching TVs or streaming videos or using our social medias to click and see status or like different status? How much do we spend on our mobile devices? I've actually had to use time allocations for my app as well so that I don't spend too much time on my phone as well. She worked on a project looking at 1,001 days in the lives of extremely busy women. What I liked about her topic is that she also asked and interviewed different people on techniques on how to manage times. An example for one of her participants is that how does she make time to go to exercises or even to go out? What she noted and quoted, there is a difference in not making to do something and acknowledging it or making time for what you feel is important and has priority. Make appointments and put them in your calendar. Commit to doing them. She recommends making 3 category lists such as career, relationships, and self. We tend to focus on many of the obligations that we have and we forget to make those lists. Let's start with a number that she gave. She suggested looking at the hours per week. So 7 times 24 equals 168 hours in a week. 24 times 7 is 168 hours. That is a lot of time. If you're working a full-time job, 40 hours a week, sleeping 8 hours a night, that equates to 56 hours taken out. That leaves us 72 hours for other things. That's still a lot of time. Now, even if you're working 50 hours a week, maybe you have a job and maybe a side hustle or some hobbies. That still leaves us 62 hours for other things. If you did work 60 hours, that would leave us 52 hours to do other things. So those are some things you need to account for. What are we spending time on for the remaining hours? Are we using it wisely? That includes rest and everything else. So those are questions that you want to examine for yourself. Another great book that I mentioned earlier was Time Warrior. Some of the things that it discusses is ownership and commitment, how to say no more often. Do what you are thinking about now and not wait till later to add to your long list. I actually do that with my side notebook. I usually list 3 or 5 items to make sure that I get it removed. I cross it out and move on to the next set of items to remove from my list. So preferably you want to think about it and do it at that time so you don't have to wait later. Start with a short list and keep track of it. Try to slow down and be present. That's one of the biggest suggestions from many of the books I've read. You need to be present. You need to be able to breathe and figure out what are the things that you need to do. Create your day the way you want it to. You will never find a time, you can only make time. It is from your mind by being ruthless and cutting out the unnecessary. Some of the techniques that it mentions is not to be a people pleaser as well. Try not to say yes to everything and not responding to emails right away or even a call. If you are busy, to turn off the response or turn it on to do not disturb. It's okay to wait for them to leave you a message. If it's important enough, they will leave you a message or reach you a different way. Another book that I find very useful, and I've been recommending it to many people, is The Wealthy Gardener. I liked his concept of impact hour. What that is making the right time to think, journaling, or just planning out your goals, whether it's for short term or long term. It's almost a list, like buddy checking list, right? To make sure that you're accountable to what you said you were going to do. What are the steps that you're trying to achieve to get to your goal, whether it's a dream that you've been thinking about since you were younger, or as you were changing and maturing and getting older, something that you wish you could do. Find a good time to make a habit for exercising or meditating. I find it much easier to do this early in the morning when everyone is still asleep and when I still have energy. Spend at least an hour a day to review how your day is going to be and whether you are doing things that help you achieve your goals and dreams. Write affirmations every day and check that the activities that you spend are being spent towards achieving your goals. A lot of this also talks about your gut feeling. It's not just an academic process or a chore that you need to do. You do need to feel and believe in what you want to do. Sometimes you have too many options. If you have too many choices, it becomes overwhelming. Try to filter it depending on people that you want to get advice from. Sometimes it's too many. So try to filter that out to your need to match it and see that that's something that you really believe in and it will make you move forward. So manage that well. Great at Work is another great book to read. In summary, they talk about different researches that they've done in the years, thousands of them. They actually rate who have been successful, how are they able to make an impact in a business, and they were various people from leadership roles or employees that work under them. How are they effective? Some of them are very creative in solving the problems that they have. Some of them were just paying attention and found that there was a process that wasn't really needed anymore, and they voiced out and recommended solution. Also, how do you become effective for the hours you're given? Let's say you are working 40 hours, 50, or even 60. How do you do less and then obsess? It's finding what your strengths are, finding where you really fit, and understanding what you truly like. Again, as I said in a previous episode of my podcast, sometimes a work doesn't have to feel like it's a chore. It could also be something that's impactful and you have fun and you enjoy it. It becomes a hobby. Remove distractions. Sometimes there are environments where there are too many people that just chat and they're not effectively doing what they need to do, chatting too much and adding more time that you don't need. People who obsess on unhealthy habits like social media, video games, online surfing, gossip, smoking, etc. All those extra breaks add up. You want to make sure that you have enough time to complete the work that you do and balance it out. It doesn't mean you don't socialize, it's just managing the time effectively. Account for the commute that you have for work, or even the time that you want to go to a gym. Try to schedule it as best as you can and don't penalize yourself. Make sure you do something to continue to reward yourself, even if it's something small. Some takeaways. Have fun and do what you love. Use your work calendar effectively and impactfully. Include your lunchtimes, breaks, personal appointments in your work calendar. For example, driving out to meet your family, friends, or having different appointments such as doctor appointments, dentists, etc. or even having to go to a concert or going to another place just to go for outings. Make sure you include that in your calendar so you don't forget. Before starting your day, if you can get to decide a short walk, meditation, or time to think, include that as a short thing to add to your schedule. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes or an hour. You can have small 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 increments. So I like to chunk time so that I can fit different things that are healthy for my physical and mental health. Walking with your child or spouse or anybody else is really not a me time. So make sure that you still have your separate time for yourself so that you can think and distress. Plan date nights with your partner or a lunch date with your partner. You still want to include your family or friends or partner so that they know that you appreciate the time and support that they give you. When you go to work, you're not just doing it for yourself. You're doing it for somebody, most likely. Another useful tool is FocusMate. FocusMate.com is a very useful accountability partner that you can get virtually. They give you 15-minute sessions long invites. They have community guidelines. You can even join a group. It's very useful to schedule sessions like that so that you can have accountability. Typically, you join in, you share what your goal is or your intentions, and you make sure that you're not distracted. Additionally, I have life hacks that you can use. I mentioned before time limits. Depending on your mobile device, you can have apps or have it built in to use screen time limits on your mobile device. Try to take advantage of those tools. Listen to podcasts while you're using different things or doing different activities. Another great tool for reading, Blinkist. It gives you a 10 to 15 minute summary of the versions of the books that you're trying to read up on that you don't want to purchase right away. They give you a nice synopsis of that. Again, audiobook or Overdrive. Those are audible book resources that you can take advantage while you're commuting or doing other tasks. Coach is another app that I've used in the past for habit tracking. So if you want to make sure that you have tools to track your different habits, you can create custom ones. It gives you feedback. It gives you day streaks, how long you've been keeping up to your habits. So those are habit forming activities you can track if you like to track things. Create an environment where you can rest more. Use essential oils, candles, incense, calm music. Create a comfortable place to have peace. You can decide on what it is. Everybody's different. If you need to do this, use noise canceling headset when necessary. I understand that some places there's too many people in an area, it's an open workspace, and it can get distracting. You may want to use the correct headsets to make sure it's much easier for you to focus. Follow blogs and motivational authors. Watch and listen to TED Talks for useful lessons in improving oneself. Another piece that I like to do is journaling and using guided journals like Sunrise Manifesto. It's a daily planner. It tells you to write different things that you're grateful for, whether it's a person, what you earned, something that you did yesterday that made you smile, what can you have done yesterday to make it better, and more. Also, it does have a section to declutter and just write down whatever you're thinking. And by the end of the week, it does give you an inventory of remaining tasks that you want to complete or goals that you're trying to achieve, as well as follow-up actions. Also, I have Calm.com app daily. That's very useful if you want a guided meditation. You can also try different apps like Insight or anything that would allow you to get the meditation time that you need. Down Dog is a yoga app. It's a free one that you can watch a video and follow along. You can change the length and the type of yoga that you want to do. So it's very useful if you just want to stretch, you just want to relieve stress, or do something more cardio. You can select that type. Also, follow and listen to your body. You don't necessarily have to do the exact form exactly like you see it in a video. Everybody has different limitations and capabilities, so be able to listen to your body and monitor it. If you want to track books that you read, Bookly is one that I use for tracking books, just to make sure that I am following through and making sure that I'm making a habit of reading the books that I like, and I also review it. Decluttering is another helpful thing that you want to try. Do that in small stages. It doesn't have to be large tasks of decluttering. You can choose to pick one thing to clean up, whether it's you just check the email or your mailboxes or even small sections in your closet. Try to make small tasks so that you don't feel overwhelmed. Most importantly, reward yourself for following through by dancing, singing, enjoying a bath, spending time with your loved ones, going out with friends, date night. anything that's going to reward you to continue to do what's great for yourself. Go out and have fun. Try to have an adventure. Be spontaneous. When there is a will, there is a way. There is no answer or problem that does not have multiple answers. Keep experimenting. Nothing is perfect, and as you can see, even for me, being new in podcasting, I also make mistakes. Hope you enjoyed my podcast. See you on the next one.